So we've had some requests for the process where I explain how I go about building whatever plane I decide to build. So I'm gonna have to learn how to edit software, but I'm gonna show you how the process works. And this is how I start. I decide the plane. In this case, the plane I know I'm gonna build requires a number of different pieces that are unique. So I have to find those unique pieces and make sure I have enough of them to get the unique features of the airplane. So over here, these are my technique pieces. Usually that's landing gear and support stuff. So I've picked out the pieces I knew that I would need for landing gear. I know I'm gonna need some because it's a big airplane. I'm gonna need some technique pieces for the cross struts of the wing. And then in my specialty pieces, this is just specialty pieces, I know I need 6 engines. And I need this bubble wing, but the hard part that I didn't know if I could do was I'm going to need 6 of these triple props to build my propellers off of. It turns out I have 6 of those. Of course, we'll have to select our angled pieces. These are my plates. I've got the special plates that I need, and then those are my bricks. So this is where I build. I sit here, I watch football right up there. And my dogs sit here and help me out, and that's how I do it. Okay, so here's where we are. You know, the plane I'm building has a very odd looking front end. It's the largest bomber the United States ever built. I think it's the largest bomber anyone ever built. I don't think the Soviet Tupolev is bigger than this, but it's a B36 bomber. And it has this bulbous front end that has a bubble canopy on it. It probably is the largest bubble canopy ever built. But I've had to, because it's such an iconic part of the plane, that and then something we'll get to with the wings, I've had to set aside, you know, these particular pieces. And you've got to start somewhere on the plane. You should start with what is the most iconic part, I think. So that's the front end. So this is what I've got so far for the front end. It's taken up a lot of little pieces. I've had to save a lot of pieces because I know I'm gonna need those pieces later on in the wings because the wings of this thing are enormous. But anyway, I think I've got the front down pretty good at this point. And I'm gonna start moving back. And when I get to about here, I'll probably stop and then just build the wings. The wings are gonna take a long time, a lot of plate work. Something else I should probably point out that I like to do because I like the planes to be sturdy, right? You can pick all of my airplanes up by the wings and pick them up by the tail or pick them up by the front. The landing gear, you can set it down on the landing gear and let it roll. That's important to me. So I do overlapping everywhere. So when you see a break in color like this, it means I have to have overlapping back inside that, back up in here. I'm using these pieces, these rounded pieces on the bottom. That means I've got to have overlapping above that. That way everything's locked in place and you don't have one spot in the airplane that's really fragile. Okay, so I've gotten the nose done, as we talked about, and I've done a whole bunch of the fuselage of the aircraft. You'll notice these are just filler pieces here. And I put lots of heavy filler pieces in front of the wings because I know this plane has a tricycle carriage, so it needs to be weighted more in the front than in the back. So I've got filler pieces up here, and I also put a lot of filler pieces right at the wings because that's where I know I have to have a lot of connection to hold the weight of the airplane. Also, to give me the strength for the wings and to give strength to the wings adhering to the fuselage, I've built this out of technique pieces, and it's going to line up right here. Let's see, right about there. So I have actually started, even though I'm not building the wings yet, I have started the mount for the wings. And that's locked in there pretty good. Okay, more in a minute. Everything's stayed together in the front, but what I've realized is I was just gonna make a wing and then I was gonna build the engines onto it. That's not what's happening. The engines on the B36 are mounted facing backwards, okay, compared to what we're used to. They work exactly the same way. They're just on the back of the wing. And they're fairly big in there. So they have to actually be built into the wing. So I'm having to build gaps in the wing to fit the engines on, which makes for a very complex wing design. I thought it would be a little simpler than this, but you know, best laid plans. Here we are.
College football prime time is presented by the Eat Fresh Refresh at Subway.
So we're back. I got the wing issue worked out. Had enough flat pieces that I've now got the engines built actually into the wings. And so we're about to start proceeding forward with more of the fuselage and the tail section. Also, we've switched from football to Formula One. Okay, so here it is, the Convair B36 Peacemaker. Interesting little bit of history in this plane. It was designed sort of right after the B-29, which it dwarfs the B-29. It was designed right after it, and so that's during World War II. And they designed it to carry conventional bombs, an enormous number of conventional bombs, like 20 times what a B-17 can carry or something. They didn't know the Manhattan Project was going on. So it had to be, after it came out, it had to be sort of retrofitted and made to work with nuclear weapons. Very big airplane. The wingspan's about that of a 747-400. And obviously has 10 engines. It has 6 radial propellers, and then it has these 2 jet engines. Consumed a lot of fuel, but it could go 400 miles an hour and go up to 50,000 feet. So none of the World War II fighter planes could have gotten to it. Crew of 15 people. The wings are so thick, actually, that it had little tunnels in it so that the mechanics could go out and work on the engines during flight. So B-36, it got phased out in the 50s when the B-52 came around, but a very interesting airplane. Still don't know, might be the largest bubble ever built onto a plane, but yeah, it was a difficult build. Basically because of the wings it was difficult. The wings had to incorporate the engines into them. So yeah, there it is, B-36 Peacemaker.
Good job, Boo.
Thank you, babe.